thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. My thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. My thought about does not mean anything. My thought about fill in the blank there does not mean anything. We'll do it a little longer at the end. My thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. Well, hello. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, and we're ready for lesson 10 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the Course in Miracles published by Foundation for Inner Peace. And here on lesson 10, which is Wednesday, January the 10th of 2024, my thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. This kind of paves the way for an open mind. And when we close, we'll sing this part where it says, my thought about blank does not mean anything. And we'll let you fill in a few of your own thoughts about what you're thinking about. But anyway, for today, let's read the lesson. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware or become aware in the practice periods. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before and will do so again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything. Quite a bold statement, but we have a teacher who is guiding us, and he suggests that we treat our thoughts as if they don't mean anything, because he knows that there's a deeper thing that a deeper thought that we can be aware of. How much do you trust? I see the author of this book as Jesus, and I have complete trust that he knows what he's talking about. So I do the lessons a lot of times not because I think that it's the best way, but because he says it's the best way, and I'm just doing them because I want to be a good student. Paragraph 2. This is the second time we will have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts, and no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality of what you think you think. Remember yesterday we learned that our mind is blank when we're thinking about thoughts that are not according to our reality or according to love? This aspect of the correction process began with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stressed their past rather than their present status. Now we're emphasizing that the presence of these thoughts means that you're not thinking. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness when you think you see. As such, it is the prerequisite for vision. the prerequisite for vision. Close your eyes for these exercises and introduce them by repeating the idea for today quite slowly to yourself. Then add. So you'd say, my thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. That's when you start your practice period. You'll start with that. Then close your eyes. The exercises consist, as before, in searching your mind for all the thoughts that are available to you. Without selection or judgment, try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to do so, you might imagine that you're watching an oddly assorted procession going by, which has little, if any, personal meaning to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, my thought about blank does not mean anything. And my thought about blank does not mean anything. And continue with all your thoughts. So like an oddly assorted procession going by. That's, I think I mentioned, it's kind of like you're sitting on the side of the road with the bands going by. And each band, you're just there kind of watching. You're not part of the band. You're just observing. The silent witness. And the last paragraph, 5. Today's thought can obviously serve for any thought that distresses you at any time. So you can use this to ward off painful thoughts. You can simply tell yourself, my thought about blank does not mean anything. But he says, other than just that, in addition, 5 practice periods are recommended, each involving no more than a minute or so of mind searching. It is not recommended that this time period be extended, and it should be reduced to half a minute or less if you experience discomfort. Remember, however, to repeat the idea slowly before applying it specifically, and also to add, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. You know, getting a little motivation here to do the lesson, because this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe, those ideas that are holding us earthbound and keeping us from being miracle workers, from keeping us from being happy, from keeping us from living in our invulnerable, limitless state as God created us. Okay, well, let's go look now, and we'll come back to this before we close, but let's go look at our text reading today, and we're ready to start chapter 2. The separation and the atonement. And we'll do the origins of separation while you're turning there. World Holy Days, Holidays, and Observances today. And I found these on holidaysandobservances.com. It's Bittersweet Chocolate Day. And what it says, and I found this on Healthline about cacao. Very nutritious. It's high in fiber, iron, magnesium, copper, manganese. Also has potassium, phosphorus, zinc, and selenium. Powerful source of antioxidants. May improve blood flow and lower blood pressure. Raises HDL, your high-density lipoproteins, and lowers your LDLs, your low-density lipoprotein. Lowers the LDL from oxidation, may reduce heart disease risk, may protect your skin from the sun, could improve brain functioning. And like I said, I found all that on Healthline. So and the thing nice about the bittersweet chocolate, it's basically chocolate that's considered like, if you're 70% chocolate, and so, if you get much more than that, you're not in the bittersweets. You're getting into the semi-sweets and then just outright sweet chocolate. So be aware. You don't want too much sugar in your diet. Most people would feel that's accurate. Houseplant Appreciation Day, and I found this on naturespath.com. It says for 7 good tips for thriving houseplants. Less water in the winter, and unless you're right beside a wood stove, then you might need more water. But generally speaking, less water in the winter. hold the fertilizer, let in light, and keep plants clean. You know how they get kind of dusty? Kind of keep, because you let the light, that keeps the light from getting to them. Increase the humidity, prepare for spring, cut away old growth, and refresh the soil. So there's a few things about keeping your house plants nice and healthy. I almost brought one of my I got a big old aloe vera. I put it in a pot last year. That thing's become huge, just a great big old. But I thought, well, I'm not going to bring it outside, and I didn't want to come inside. So let's see. League of Nations Day. The League of Nations began on this day in 1920, but it only lasted about 25 years, and it was dissolved into the UN. But it was to promote world peace at the end of World War I. It was created at the Paris Peace Conference, and it was headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. But like I said, it's been dissolved into the UN. National Oysters Rockefeller Day. And an oyster Rockefeller are those half oysters that have been, you've added butter and parsley, breadcrumbs, and other herbs occasionally, and baked them. National Peculiar People Day. I guess that celebrates those who refuse to conform to normal. We maybe need new normals in this world. I expect I'm one of those peculiar people. Save the Eagles Day. Eagles. The eagles we have in our area are the bald eagle, and they are a Haliaetus. Haliaetus is the genus, and Leucocephalus is the species of the bald eagle. And you know, there's 60 species of eagles. Okay, and what else? Is there anything else? Permaculture for beginners. Let's take a look in there. I wanted to read the next little section. We're still in chapter 1, the Carrie Mitchell book. And I looked again to try to find some publisher. And there is one of those little fancy barcode things on it. And I even tried to do that and trying to find the publisher. Anyway, but I wasn't successful yet. Complex network. Oh no, for fungi, which is the complex networks of interconnected fungi strands lie beneath the soil. Fungi are effective at drawing nutrients from wood and rocks and establish mutual nutrient exchanges with plants. And I've heard that your mycelium that grows underground, Mycelium Running, or a good book by Paul Stamets called that. Anyway, they can reach out for miles. And that mycelium, I've heard that they're documenting that if a plant doesn't have a certain chemical that it needs, like say copper, in its immediate vicinity, the mycelium can deliver it from a long distance away back to the plant. I just think what amazing. We'll look at some of these other things tomorrow. And let's see. Edible landscaping, another Pawpaw. This is the KSU Atwood Pawpaw. In 2009, KSU, Kentucky State University, became the first cultivar to be released from Kentucky State University's breeding program. It is large, round, and mango flavored, described as excellent tasting with very little leaf spot. Fruit has greenish blue skin, yellow to orange flesh with few seeds, medium-sized fruit. And that is your KSU Atwood Pawpaw, and I will mention that is a trademark variety. So be aware if you're wanting to propagate pawpaws for sale. It's an Asamina triloba. And I've got another word that the Ashkenazic Jews use. They speak Yiddish, and they're all over the world, mainly Israel and the United States, but also several European countries have some Yiddish-speaking people. Larger, I'm sure there's individuals in every country, but known for their Yiddish, there's few European countries. And the word for peace in Yiddish is SCHLUM. I expect that pronounced Shlum. So, Shlum be with you. Peace be with you in Yiddish. Okay, and let's see. Let me get my paper here so when we close, I'll be able to follow my chords for our song. And we're going to do a little meditation together as we close. Okay, Chapter 2, the separation and the atonement, the origins of separation. To extend is a fundamental aspect of God which he gave to his Son. In the creation, God extended himself to his creations and imbued them with the same loving will to create. You have not only been fully created, but have also been created perfect. There is no emptiness in you. Because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. Remember in the Bible it says that we're created in the image of God? Well, this brings a little more clarity to it. Because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. No child of God can lose this ability because it is inherent in what he is, but he can use it inappropriately by projecting. Instead of extending love, you use it inappropriately by projecting. The inappropriate use of extension or projection occurs when you believe that some emptiness or lack exists in you and that you can fill it with your own ideas instead of truth. This process involves the following steps. First, you believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind. Second, you believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. Third, you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. And fourth, you believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. And that's what he's going to develop, what he calls the authority problem, that fourth one. Paragraph 2. These related distortions, let's take just a minute to read those again. First, you believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind. Second, you believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. Third, you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. And fourth, you believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. These related distortions represent a picture of what actually occurred in the separation, or the detour into fear. None of this existed before the separation, nor does it actually exist now. Everything God created is like him. Extension, as undertaken by God, is similar to the inner radiance that the children of the Father inherit from him. Its real source is internal. This is as true of the Son as of the Father. In this sense, the creation includes both the creation of the Son of God and the Son's creations when his mind is healed. This requires God's endowment of the Son with free will, because all loving creation is freely given in one continuous line, in which all aspects are of the same order. We all have free will, and we create with our free will. And everything we create has free will. It's like a continual order. Paragraph 3. The Garden of Eden, or the pre-separation condition, was a state of mind in which nothing was needed. Very key idea. The Garden of Eden, or the pre-separation condition, was a state of mind in which nothing was needed. When Adam listened to the lies of the serpent, all he heard was untruth. And that lies of the serpent is in quotes, because there really wasn't any lie of the serpent, but it appeared to him like there was. You do not have to continue to believe what is not true unless you choose to do so. All that can literally disappear in the twinkling of an eye, because it is merely a misperception. What is seen in dreams seems to be very real. Yet the Bible says that a deep sleep fell upon Adam, and nowhere is there reference to his waking up. The world has not yet experienced any comprehensive reawakening or rebirth. Such a rebirth is impossible as long as you continue to project or miscreate. It still remains within you, however, to extend as God extended His Spirit to you. In reality, this is your only choice, because your free will was given you for your joy in creating the perfect. You may not know it, but that's the reality, and that's what we're trying to wake up from. This that we could hear the dreams of a serpent, or the voice of the serpent, the voice of untruth. In reality, this is your only choice. Let's back up. It still remains within you, however, to extend as God extended His Spirit to you. In reality, this is your only choice, because your free will was given you for your joy in creating the perfect. 4. All fear is ultimately reducible to the basic misperception that you have the ability to usurp the power of God. All fear is ultimately reducible to the basic misperception that you have the ability to usurp the power of God. The authority problem. Of course, you neither can nor have been able to do this. Here is the real basis for your escape from fear. The escape is brought about by your acceptance of the atonement, which enables you to realize that your errors never really occurred. They were dreams. Only after the deep sleep fell upon Adam could he experience nightmares. If a light is suddenly turned on while someone is dreaming a fearful dream, he may initially interpret the light itself as part of his dream and be afraid of it. However, when he awakens, the light is correctly perceived as the release from the dream, which is then no longer accorded reality. This release does not depend on illusions. The knowledge that illuminates not only sets you free, but also shows you clearly that you are free. And the last paragraph to finish this section. Whatever lies you may believe are of no concern to the miracle, which can heal any of them with equal ease. It makes no distinction among misperceptions. Its sole concern is to distinguish between truth on the one hand and error on the other. Some miracles may seem to be of greater magnitude than others. But remember, the first principle in this course. Do you remember what the first principle of the 50 Principles of Miracles? Remember, the first principle in this course. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. No order of difficulty in miracles. In reality, you are perfectly unaffected by all expressions of lack of love. In reality, you are perfectly unaffected by all expressions of lack of love. These can be from yourself and others, from yourself to others, or from others to you. Peace is an attribute in you. You cannot find it outside. Illness is some form of external searching. Catch that, very key idea. Illness is some form of external searching. Health is inner peace. So let's be healthy and find our inner peace. Quit looking for something outside that's going to satisfy. Illness is some form of external searching. Health is inner peace. It enables you to remain unshaken by lack of love from without and capable, through your acceptance of miracles, of correcting the conditions proceeding from lack of love in others. Okay. And let's go look just briefly at our lesson today. Lesson 10, my thoughts do not mean anything. And you'll start by saying that idea, and then might even follow on its heels with your eyes opened or closed, whether you can remember it when your eyes are closed. Say, my thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe, And then the exercises consist, as before, in searching your mind for all the thoughts that are available to you without selection or judgment. Try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to do so, you might imagine that you're watching an oddly assorted procession going by, which has little, if any, personal meaning to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, "My thought about blank does not mean anything." And then he says that you can use it as a remedy against any kind of hassle that you're having in your mind today, the trouble you're having. But to do 1 minute or so mind searching periods where you say, "My thoughts about blank does not mean anything." We'll do one of them right now. And let's just be sure I've got this right. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. My thought about does not mean anything. My thought about fill in the blank does not mean anything. My thought about 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 blank, watch your thoughts, does not mean anything. And then tell it. My thought about does not mean anything. 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 My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help release me from all that I now believe. And if you were able to do that little meditation with me as I was singing, you've done one of your 5 today now. And you might have done it even at the beginning. And our word for peace in Yiddish is Shlum. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. Shlum.